No trees planted after clear cutting will compensate for the removal of well-developed trees that are of a wide variety. Clear cutting is a huge issue in the USA. It is not a third world jungle issue. Since 2000, the USA has lost 6% of its forest areas. Number 9, stream erosion is a result of high-level impervious surfaces, such as in this development. This erosion is costly, undercutting sewers and power lines. We have a good example of stream erosion in Sycamore Township at Bechtold Park. That stream erosion has severely undercut the sewer manhole. Now, across the street and around the entire Kenwood Mall area are areas of 80 to 90% impervious surface. This concrete area provides no habitat for various birds, insects, or animals. The trees existing there are poor quality and are chosen because they stay small. Many trees in these parking areas are dead, and the shrubs are dying from lack of water and heat, and there is little release of oxygen to the air. The proposed development takes away the shaded sidewalks that are used by residents, working people, and visitors to the hospital. Shaded walks allow people to actually walk rather than drive. Shaded walks allow for quality of life. The new proposal does not provide any public spaces that are shaded and have mature trees. Their TV interview indicated that they would widen the sidewalk and provide a safe sidewalk. To do this, they would cut down the existing trees. No one can walk on sidewalks that are 100 degrees, so widening a sidewalk and cutting down the trees does not serve the public. Several, not just one, high-density developments have been turned down by the trustees and zoning commission. They were turned down because residents did not want their neighborhoods ruined. Now, each Sycamore Township meeting opens with a prayer. I ask the trustees to be stewards of the earth, our very own land. Stop paving paradise and putting up parking lots. Our zoning regulations call for protection and quality of life for existing residents before unbridled development. The developers are not concerned with the existing residents. Their intent is to squeeze out every single square inch with no regard for the people here. Their only constraint is you and how much money they have. They have no moral obligation or electoral obligation to us, the citizens of Sycamore Township. You, however, live here and were elected by us to protect us. Say no to this project, and yes to protecting clean water and clean air. And I want to thank you for your attention to my presentation. And I put references here to many of the statements that I made from universities or other scientific resources. So thank you.
One question for you, Ms. Cooper. I'm going to show you a Google Earth aerial photo. Is this a fair representation of the site of this proposed capital investment project?
It looks like it to me, yes.
And I'll ask that this be marked as an exhibit. I apologize, Mr. Bickford. I hope you'll be able to get a copy from one of the trustees.
I'm the exhibit keeper, so make sure I get whatever's been handed out.
What number is this?
That would be 7. The one previous, which I don't have, is number 6.
You don't have that?
I need that.
I'll get your copy.
Okay.
I'm gonna set these aside, so.
What is any questions of this group?
I thought you were, didn't know you were finished, I'm sorry. The board have any questions for
I don't
Mrs.
have any
Kugler?
questions.
No questions.
Okay. Mr. Barrett?
Mr. Bickford, can you put up the app, please? Yeah, click here.
Ms. Kugler, you mentioned you lived for 3 years in the township. Approximately, on this map, where is your home?
Let's see, it's north. It's on Connery and Tenderfoot Lane.
Are you north of
Maybe you can
275?
find it.
Are you north of 275 or south of 275?
North of 275, I'm over by 275. I'm not on 75. Fields Ertl, yes, somewhere in there. So I'm not north of 75, no, I don't think anybody is north of
So this
75.
this red first line is an 8-mile radius, so you're almost 8 miles, approximately 7 miles or so from the site, correct?
Can you
Yes.
speak up, sir,
You're
please?
mumbling, I think.
Sorry, you're approximately 7 miles from the site.
I'm gonna go by your measurement there, sir.
A few things you brought up, were you at the last meeting?
No, I had a death in the family. In fact, I asked that my statement be accepted, and I was told it could not be accepted unless I was here
The
in
last
person.
meeting. Right. At the last meeting, one of the things that where you talk about the land plan, does that pertain to this project?
I live in Sycamore Township.
But are you aware that the land plan from 2002 doesn't actually relate to this process, correct?
I don't care.
Is there any law in the township that you know of that prohibits a tree from being cut down?
No, but I'd sure like to see some for that.
Are you aware of any aquifer that's directly under our site?
All of us have aquifer. There's water under everything.
And what kind of, are you aware of the geological makeup of the soil underneath our site?
Much of this area has clay soil.
And how
But not
deep
100%.
does that clay soil go?
Do you have an answer for me?
I do.
Okay, I'd like to hear it.
You hit rock after 16 to 30 feet.
That's pretty far down.
Okay. So, at that point.
How are you able to install some of these tanks if you only have 8 feet to go down?
You have to dig out the rock. It's a
Ah, I
shale.
see, okay. So none of that water is going to infiltrate into the aquifer that you're holding in these tanks, is that correct?
Well, let's get the questions going in the right.
Well, I mean, he's asking me some, I don't ask him some. He has all the answers.
I don't understand. You mentioned retention ponds. Are you aware that our retention pond is only gonna be full when there's water, when there's a rain event, and then it's gonna slowly leach out?
There are several types of retention ponds, and I do not know what you have planned, and you could be changing them based on adding more space or rearranging. I heard you say things could be arranged frequently.
Now, are you a botanist or an arborist?
No, I'm not.
Do you hold a professional degree in either of those?
No, I just gave you my credentials. I'm an informed citizen. Did you not hear me?
I'm just asking for the record, sorry. You made the comment that a mature tree is necessary to provide oxygen to the atmosphere.
Yes.
How do you know that?
Well, through the process of trees photosynthesis, they return oxygen to the air and they take pollutants out. And I guess when I breathe in, I breathe out carbon dioxide. I'm taking in oxygen.
So,
Are you saying that trees do not provide oxygen to the atmosphere?
I asked you a question,
And
and
I'm answering you.
is it possible that newer trees provide more oxygen than established trees, mature trees?
You would have to have quite a few of those. One little tree is not going to respond in the same way as a mature tree.
Is it possible that a mature tree uses as much oxygen during photosynthesis as it lets out?
I don't think so, but I also like to say the mature tree holds on to water, the soil. It provides habitat for over depending on what tree it is, an oak tree provides habitat for over 500 species of insects, birds, small animals.
Did you hear?
So the tree has a lot more going for it than only the oxygen. Thank you.
Did you hear Mr. Bickford say that we are allowed to do development on this site? That
I
is-
did, isn't that a shame? Yeah, I'm not saying it rah-rah.
So you understand that we can do
Oh, I
something?
hear you saying you can do anything you want to.
Okay.
That's pretty much what bullies say.
Are you a bully when you follow the law?
You're a bully when you do what you're doing, when you say we can do anything we want to, so what's the use of coming here?
I don't recall saying we can do anything we want to.
You just did say, didn't
All
you
right,
know I
let's-
could do
let's-
whatever I wanted
Let's stick with the
to?
subject here, let's stay on point.
I think he's the one that brought that up.
We've got a lot of people here that wanna talk in a limited amount of time,
So you mentioned before that we're cutting down 54 trees.
Yes.
We'll be adding over 170 trees.
What time?
8 foot. Everything from maple trees to oaks, evergreens, and I don't know off the top of my head, but we are adding 170 just trees, not including any shrubs.
Soft maples or silver maples?
It's on the plans.
Oaks?
They're
Question-
on, it's on the plan set.
I'm not allowed to ask a question, I guess. You're gonna make your point.
But we're adding new trees, and, you know, from what we understand is new trees.
Objection, if you have a question, fine. Not a
Yeah,
chance to test
let's
that.
get questions back and, not back and forth.
I would like to say something here. This picture is a good example of new trees. Here, rich, green, big crowns. You look at this little line across the side there? Those are the trees from the Kenwood Mall. They've been there a long time. That's what your new trees look like, years later. And they die and have to be replaced with also small, little trees.
Okay, so what kind of, do you know what size easement, or not easement, what size backyard separation we have between our property and the neighbor's property?
No.
If I told you it's 40 feet, over 40 feet, have you heard that number come about?
Could you clarify that?
What do you want to tell me?
Your properties are abutting, there's nothing separating properties.
On the rear property line of our property and the rear property line of Frolic properties and Dunedin properties, the rear property.
Your property abuts the rear property.
Correct, there's a 40, so we're
There's
46.
0 feet separation between the two properties.
Between the buildings.
Oh, thank you for clarifying.
So within that separation of the building, if we were to plant the trees there, the 170 trees, would that be much bigger in a much larger area than you showed in that picture? Does that
Repeat
look like
that
40 feet?
demonstration of math, please.
Is that 40 feet of barrier,
So 40 feet, and you're gonna plant 100 trees in there?
170
In
throughout
40 feet?
around a 7-acre site?
How far apart are they gonna be?
The trees?
Yes,
Varies.
20 feet, 30 feet?
We're going the wrong way here. I'm
What about
asking
that?
if